Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Happy Saturday. How are you guys doing? I hope all is well on your end. I'm not going to keep you guys long today. I'm just going to talk briefly about parents who do not support their children, especially a young child. You know, it's very strange when a woman, parents can have multiple children, let's say 4, 5, 6 kids, and for some reason they drop the ball on the baby, or by the time the fourth child come around, if they have 6 children, they drop the ball, but yet they have other children. So it's very weird that the babies almost don't get the kind of nurturing as the older ones would have. And you think it would be the flip side, where the oldest one doesn't really get that much attention, but when the baby comes around, stop the press and everybody is doting over that baby. Usually that's how it works. The baby gets all the attention. That can even brew jealousy, because some of the older kids could feel neglected when they say the baby this, because most people say the babies are spoiled. But in some cases, it flips, where the baby almost don't get that kind of nurturing that you would expect a baby to get. I know 2 specific scenarios where the baby in the family is more like the adult. The baby is the voice of reason. The baby is the one that will look at the older ones, the older siblings, and say, no, you shouldn't speak that way. You shouldn't do this that way. Or the older siblings are constantly reaching out to the baby for advice or for some kind of support, which is cool, because when you have your siblings, you know, it's good when you have a good relationship and that kind of thing. But I'm talking about now the parents who don't give the baby the kind of nurturing the baby should get, as they did with the previous children. Like, you think a baby in the family, if you have a 10-year gap, 12-year gap, 8-year gap between the baby and the older siblings, and the older ones are now able to take the bus on their own. They can drive by them. They can drive. They have their license. You'd imagine the older siblings would say, okay, let me pick up my younger brother or sister, your younger sibling, you know, or you walk with them to the bus stop. Somehow you kind of fit that baby in your schedule. And I can speak like this because I am 14 years older than my last sibling. So at 14, my baby was an infant, right? So a 0 to an infant. I mean, he just came out the womb, and I'm 14 already. So by the time that brother is a daycare age, yeah, and I'm 16, 17, I have to go and get him from the daycare. And the whole family dote on this baby. It's everything. My parents, my other siblings, other family members, it's all about the baby. So I'm used to the babies getting pampered, getting spoiled. Yeah, because that's how it was in my immediate family. And I've observed that in other families. I have another friend from high school. Same exact scenario. We were friends from in high school. Her brother is the same, 14 years different. So she and I would be with our little brothers from time to time. You know, we were young kids in high school. I just went to the brothers. My friend had a party, and the brother just showed up with his wife and thing, and he called, when he gave a tribute to his sister, he called her his sister mom. Because people, just like my brother, people thought was my baby, but that's my brother. So my friend brother, baby brother, call her sister mommy or sister mom, you know, because there's a big age gap. But now, and again, like I said, I'm accustomed to the babies getting the pampering. But like I said, I have another friend where she is the baby in her family. And she's the voice of reason among her older siblings. And there were times growing up, she didn't get that kind of nurturing. It's almost like, you have to figure it out. The older siblings already, dating, living their own life, doing their own thing. She had to make sure she get herself to school. And the parents were there but not there. So it's kind of strange when the baby of the family doesn't get that nurturing that we would assume the babies get. And if you have older siblings, how can you have that's driving, have a vehicle? How can any sibling not go and get their baby brother, whether it's from game, after school, whatever, recital, whatever it is, and that little baby is out there in the street going from bus to bus trying to figure it out? Heck, some of them even have to get on the subway. And we're talking about elementary, junior high. So elementary would be about, I believe, your 8, 9, 10-year-old. Junior high is about 11-ish or 12. Because high school is 14. I mean, if you didn't get skipped, that kind of thing. You're a genius, that kind of thing. But normally, that's roughly the age. So you have this little kid transferring from bus to bus, or trying to make it from one event to the next. And they have older siblings. When I hear and see things like this, I can't even imagine. Because like I said, with my little baby brother, that boy, I don't even think he ever took bus by himself one time. Not that young. In high school, that's different. But in terms of being, junior high, well, junior high was across the street. That wasn't too far. But by the time he get to high school, that's when he was really doing public transportation. 14, 15, figuring it out. But it's very strange when a baby, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, and you have older siblings. And where are the parents? You have parents that's alive. Where are you? Parents, where are you? They don't give the kids the proper support that they need and nurturing. But these are the parents that will put in a request for what they want when this child grows up. They definitely see the kid has potential. So they put in their order already what kind of mansion they want, material stuff, instead of nurturing this child so this child can get to the NFL or wherever you think he's going to go, or to Carnegie Hall or wherever, if they still have Carnegie Hall. Is Carnegie Hall still around? I don't even know. Anyway, but you're putting in your request what you want, or for the back of this kid coming up. And you have some parents, they don't, when the child get to college, they wouldn't even help with one book. One book. Okay, fine. You know, we go to school, we pay our tuition and whatnot, take out student loans, this, that, and the third. But at the same time, the parent, and it's not again that they don't have it. And the same way people can go and get lashes and make baby hair and wig, whatever you do, all this cosmetic stuff. The same way you can pay for manicure, pedicure, you can put away a little money to help the kid with tuition or with books, because the books are very expensive. And like I said, I don't even know how much books cost now in college. I can't even imagine what the price look like. I am sure there has to be books out there for $300. Because in my day, when I went to school in the 90s, you're talking about $100 for books sometimes. And that's fast forward how many years now, how many decades. I can't even imagine the price of a textbook, especially when you're taking certain courses. Forget pre-med. Those books might be $1,000. But you have parents who can help, and they just lay there and just let this baby get dragged up. Just get dragged up. But they have high minds and high hopes that when this child gets to be this and that, they're going to put them in mansion and they're looking for all this material stuff. No, the Bible said the parent put up an inheritance for the child, for the children. So that's reverse. So when you're looking for a handout from your children, and especially you didn't even do the right thing. Yes, kids must take care of their parents too. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the job of a parent, when that child is underage, is to parent the child. Nurture the child. Make sure the child is raised up the right way. You don't let society raise your children. You don't let the cops raise your children. You don't let the pastors raise your children. Heck, some of these people have their own issues. Some of these people are pedos. They're all kind of stuff. Coaches, teachers, doctors, you name it. Some of these people go into certain professions just to have access to children. So you don't leave up your children to coach and all these people. You have to watch over your children. I did a video already that we have to nurture, watch our children. You don't just let society raise your children. And then you want from your child when the child gets of age. We're not saying children can't help their parents. But when that child start working and making his money now, you don't go have your hand stretched out. Heck, that child gonna have student loans, if anything, to pay. If y'all didn't help with their tuition and they didn't get some grant scholarship, kid is probably gonna be in a hole with student loans. So you're talking the first 5 years, 7 years, when that kid gets a good job, and hopefully they get a job in their field. You're talking about a good 5 years to pay back those student loans. Then on top of it, the kid, that individual gonna have to be paying rent, right? They have to eat. Anything can happen. They might have to, maybe they buy a house, they maybe might get married, so they might have a spouse they have to take care of. They might have children. So now that individual gonna have a whole life ahead of themselves. And then now you wanna ride that wave. You're gonna wanna ride that wave and get on the payroll when you didn't do the right thing to help nurture that child to come into him or herself, where they can actually take care of you and attach you on the payroll. There are a lot of people who put their parents on the payroll, and rightfully so. Their parents don't have to ask them for any money. They put them right away. They say, okay, I make this amount. I give this to mommy. I give this to daddy. That's just what they do. And that's cool. That's not a big deal. And that might not be straining the individual. You know, we're not talking about that. Especially when the kid come into, you know, the holding their own and that kind of thing. Yeah, you help out your parents. But you're not gonna look as soon as that kid now with their first little job and have student loans to pay, think you're gonna be on payroll after you didn't help that child. Like I said, our children watch us. They pay attention. Sometimes you hear some people write books and they reveal certain things that happened to them in their youth. And when they discuss certain parties, those people might get offended. When they say they had games, recitals, and whatever, and which parent never showed up, that parent gets offended. You ever seen some of these athletes? Some of them don't speak to their parents. Their parents were never there. They might have a mother who was never there. Only the father taking them to their practice and different things, and vice versa. They might have a father who's wayward, abandoned the family. And now that individual made it to the NFL or wherever, or doing well, becomes a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is. Something of prestige, what society think, you know. Or some people just so material, all they see is money. So that individual might come out, turn out very well, have a decent job, a lucrative income, and now you want to brag on said child when you weren't there to help cushion the kid's path. But like I said, it's very strange when you have a baby, the baby of the family, and they don't get the nurturing you'd expect they're supposed to get. Because you hear a lot of parents, some parents will say, you know, when the first child come, they weren't so, you know, they maybe weren't as well off too financially, or they were a little ignorant how to bring up a child. But you know, your parental skill kick in and you do what you do. And like I said, the babies, most people say the babies are very spoiled because everybody's doting over the baby. Everybody. Every time you turn around, somebody else have the baby on the hip, or somebody else is doing this and that for the baby. But by God, you have a baby in a family and the baby fending for himself. And that child has older siblings. That God forbid, if one of the parents or the parents tap out, those children can actually be the baby's guardian. Because I've seen that. I've seen unfortunate scenarios where you have, you know, parents pass away, and then the older siblings have to take on the parental role and take care of their younger siblings. They'll even get custody. If the child is very young, and you might have, let's say, a 23-year-old, 25-year-old, and they're stable and they can do what they do, the state, the city will hand that 8 or 10-year-old over to that adult sibling. If the sibling wants that, you know, that responsibility. Some siblings don't. The kid might end up living with a relative or going to, you know, foster care, that kind of thing. But for the most part, when the baby's in the family, people are doting over the baby. The baby's most of the time always getting escorted somewhere. You don't just let the baby cross Flatbush by himself constantly. What kind of madness is that? And like I said, you want handout when this baby now turns into an adult. And you feel they're NBA or MLB ready or NFL ready. And you want to go on payroll. You know, cut it out. We treat the baby the way the baby's supposed to be treated. Yeah, And a lot of times the babies get spoiled. It's just the way it is. You know, it's the privilege of being what they call the wash belly. They're perks. They're perks to being the baby. Yeah. But guys, I'll catch you on another video. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you for checking out the videos. And thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Have a blessed evening. Take care. Bye-bye.